little self-conscious because I realize everybody has ties on, and I'm not wearing one. I thought this was going to be casual. Hello, America. This program actually is for my son, Rafe. He's 5 years old, and every night we read the scriptures together. I know that makes me a religious zealot, but anywho, so we were sitting down and we were talking. I think it was, I don't remember which Bible hero it was, and I said to him, this is about 4 or 5 months ago, I said, well, he was a hero, huh? And he looked at me so puzzled sitting there on my lap, and he said, no. And I said, why not? He said, Dad, and he looked down at the scriptures, and then he looked up at me, and he said, he can't fly. I realized that my son doesn't understand what a real hero is. That night I laid in bed with my wife, and we talked about it, and she said, turn off the light and go to sleep. And I couldn't go to sleep because it was bothering me so much. The country, our planet, is in need of real heroes. How do we teach our children how to be heroes when everything they see, everything they read is nothing but a superhero? I don't know if it's just me, and before we had this conversation, it is truly amazing because I think America is starting to reconnect with the same kind of spirit on what we're in. I looked at this sheet we asked you before we went on the air. Who are your heroes? You said George Washington. You said George Washington. You said George Washington. You two are watching or writing about George Washington. My hero is George Washington. My favorite story of George Washington probably is no one else's. It is the story where he walks in, you know, when you really truly understand Valley Forge, and you understand that Valley Forge happened over and over and over again. I mean, it wasn't just one winter. It was
6 years.
It was over and over again. The guys didn't even have pants.
Shoes, nothing.
And how Martha would come up and take material and sew clothing for them. And he would go beg Congress. And he would be promised, we'll take care of it. And they wouldn't. And he fought. And at the end, when they finally won against the most powerful country on earth, and the men realized they're not going to get paid. They said, we just defeated England. We're going to go kill everybody in Congress. We're going to go... They did. I'm not mistaken, right? We're going to go kill everybody in Congress. We'll take power. They were going to... He said, please don't do that. They had a secret meeting at night. Do you guys know this story?
I don't know the end of it.
They had a secret meeting that night. And he found out about it. And he walked in the middle of the meeting. And they got real quiet. And he said, gentlemen, I know what you're thinking of doing. But we didn't stop one tyrant to put another tyrant in place. He said, I've just met with a congressman, and he's going to help us. And I have a note. And he reached into his pocket, and he took out a note. And he wanted to read it, but he couldn't because his eyes were bad. Everybody in that room saw George Washington as a man who had bullet holes in his jacket, but never was shot. They saw him as a guy who was bigger than life because they had served with him. He said, just a minute. He took out his glasses. For the first time, the people in the room had seen him with glasses, and he put them on, and he said, I am sorry, but I have grown old and gray, and my eyes have grown weak in the service of my country. Tears rolled down his cheek. He folded the note back up and put it in his pocket, took his glasses off, and walked out. Silence in the room. No one pursued. No one spoke. They disbanded, and they followed him. That's a real hero.